Ian, thanks for joining us. How have these first couple of weeks been in your new role as assistant manager of Everton?
Whirlwind. It's been really gone really quickly. I've done week and a half here now, and it's packed an awful lot in. Trying to get to know all the names and get to know your way around the training ground. But it's been really, really enjoyable. Obviously made better by a win.
You're a lifelong Evertonian. So what did it mean to you to get the call and take this role?
Oh, well, I've been pushing the gaffer forever. Whenever the Everton job came up, I was like, come on, gaffer. Put your name out there, because it's a dream job for me. Yeah. Growing up, my parents both were raised half a mile, in the Anfield area off Pinehurst Avenue. My dad was at Wycliffe Road, my mum was Warham Road, just off Pinehurst, stone's throw from the ground. So it's always been a special place for me. I had a household of kind of mixed reds and blues, but I always edged towards the blue side always. It's kind of a real treat to be here as a player for the short time. But when I was at Forest, I was going well. I remember Everton coming in for me, and Frank Clark never let me come, and it was like the most disappointing time of my life. So coming back, as a coach, is just an absolute dream for me.
You mentioned you're from Heswell originally, I believe. You're Evertonian growing up. You mentioned you're on the books as a kid as well. It feels like Everton's always been a big part of your life.
Oh, absolutely. I came here when I was 16, 17. I played for the youth team. Graham Smith was my manager. I think it was Terry Darracott was the reserve team manager at the time. But that era for Everton, those kind of early mid 80s, incredible team. Just think back of Mountfield, Ratcliffe, Stephen Van den House, Southall, Bracewell, Reed, Stephen, Sheedy, Sharp, Gray. That era. It was just an incredible time to be associated with the club, and it was, that's kind of the yardstick that we look to now to try and bring back that sort of feeling.
Going back to your time as a player, you were playing for Runcorn when Nottingham Forest came in and gave you a big break. You had 10 successful years there. Was that where you met the manager and Steve Stone initially?
Steve and the gaffer done their apprenticeship at Forest. Right. I was working as a quantity surveyor. I'd been released from Everton at 18, gone into the non-league, gone and played around Wales and all the Welsh leagues, and I signed for Forest in 1990 from Runcorn, and I got put into digs with Steve and the gaffer. There was a house at the back of the Collick Road end at the City Ground, which they put the new lads in. I was probably 2 or 3 years older than Steve and the gaffer, but I signed in January. The summer I bought my own house, and the gaffer came to live with me for 4 or 5 years. Wow. But me and Stoney were always best mates. He lived with us for about a year, but decided the three of us, it's not a good mix. The careers weren't going in the direction you wanted them to go in. And so Steve moved out and got his own place, but the gaffer lived with me for about 5 years.
So long-term friends, long-term relationships, how much does that help you now professionally as a coaching team, as a dynamic?
Well, we know what the gaffer is. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. That's the thing. Friendships are great. There's a 100% trust there, but you've got to know who the gaffer is, and we have no doubt about that. He says it's black, it's black. If it's white, it's white, and that's just the way it is. But I think the trust issue with the gaffer is big. And as Steve said, we've been friends for a long time, but I think he enjoys the fact that away from the training ground, we can have a laugh and a joke, but I'll still have a really, really strong opinion.
He mentioned that last week in terms of leaning on his coaching staff for ideas and really challenging him rather than just going along with what he believes. How important is that for you to have your own ideas and put them across? Yeah,
I think you need different eyes. I think myself, Steve, and the gaffer, we all have strong opinions how the game needs to be played, and obviously team selections, and the last thing any manager would need is yes man. Just says, oh yeah, that's right, gaffer, yeah, let's go there, let's do that. We have real heated discussions about formations, team selections, but the gaffer's a strong character, and if he says no, this is where we're going, coach door opens, coach's room opens, we're like, yeah, okay, gaffer said it, 100%, that's us.
It feels like you are all on the same page in terms of what you expect from the players, though, the discipline and the values that you want from the players. Is that fair to say, would you say?
Yeah, well, we came through kind of the Brian Clough era. You know, I had 3 years with him as a player, and the gaffer and Steve had a little bit longer because he'd done 2 or 3 years apprenticeship. But that respect and that simple messages, but deliver them respectfully. Just please, thank you, open the door. Just tidying places up. It's just dealing with the basics and doing it well. There's, just it's not. We're not looking for anything too difficult. We just got to do the basics really, really well.
And you touched on the glory time, the glory years that you grew up with as Everton as well. How much does that tie together, your sort of own values and looking back at those good times and sort of trying to build something here now?
Well, you want to be here long enough to be able to do that. Andy King was kind of my favourite player growing up. I got the opportunity to work under him as a player. Then he brought me back as a coach. My first coaching role, I was playing in the States for 4 years, and after I probably played under him for about 8 months, but he said, "Look, we'd like to come back and take the 18s." So he was kind of my. I watched him play.
Yeah.
And he was kind of the way he played and the way he wanted to play the game, the excitement and what he brought, and then that era, kind of that mid-80s, and the way Goodison used to be rocking. Just getting it wide, getting balls in the box, excitement. That's what we want to bring.
Let's talk about the first game in Arsenal. So you couldn't get off to a better start in terms of the result, but we spoke about off camera as well. The performance, was that the thing that really pleased you the most?
Yeah, that's all we wanted. We wanted the fans to see there was a different identity. That's what we wanted. All we were after was a performance. It doesn't guarantee anything, especially against the league leaders. We just wanted to give the fans something to get hold of and grasp and see, okay, we can see what they want to do. And to be fair to the lads, everyone to a number gave their all. It's only one game, we got another 17 coming, but it gave us a real good sort of foundation in the game to build from.
Is that the blueprint now then?
100%. That the downside for the lads or the upside for the lads is that they've set the benchmark now. That's the least they can give us. I said it doesn't guarantee you a win, but it puts you in a better place.
The manager was quick to turn his attentions to the next game after that win. What's the reaction been like this week in terms of coming down from that high and carrying on that hard work?
The gaffer might have touched on it with you, because the lads were on a real high coming in after the game, and we understood why, and the Goodison was jumping. But within 2 minutes of the end of the game, we got everyone in, brought it down, and he just explained, "Look, lads, absolutely superb, but it's just one game. We're building again for the next one. Now that one's gone. Doesn't guarantee the next one. That's the way the gaffer works. It doesn't get too high, it doesn't get too low. Just got to keep that. Raising your minimum is what we're after. And being competitive in every game."
You spoke about it being a whirlwind these first couple of weeks. There's so much to cram in, obviously, as a new set of staff coming in mid-season. How have you gone about trying to cram in so much work in such a short space of time?
Well, this 10-day spell has been good for us actually, but the run up to the Arsenal game, we just had to try and instill. We had a lot of presentations actually. I hope the lads don't think it's going to be that many every week, but we just had to instill just the basics and our kind of team beliefs, and this is what we believe in. Because we've had 8 out of 10 years in the Premier League, and we were always the underdogs in everything that we did. But we knew we had a real firm foundation. So we spoke a lot with the players running up to the Arsenal game. But this kind of 10-day spell, you've been able to do a little bit more on the training ground with them. But we can get some real hard days into them actually. Just get them used to the kind of the way we work and the tempo we want training. Day in, day out.
And as your role as assistant manager, talk us through some of your day-to-day duties. Obviously, a lot of on-pitch stuff, but I guess there's a lot of off-field work as well.
Yeah, the manager, we discuss at length. We'll have a 9 o'clock meeting every morning, and we'll kind of discuss, what we want to get out the session, and I'll plan the session, and then I'll deliver the session. Myself and Steve, the manager, kind of as a kind of just a walking brief. Really, he'll say things when he needs to, but a lot of the presentations I'll deliver. I'll deliver the unit meetings with the lads, the set play meetings. The main presentations are, putting together with the analysts. Most afternoons we're in with the analysts looking at games, kind of discussing. got to change the kind of what was, because the players need to feel like there's something new. So the way we deliver presentations, what we feel they need to see. So a lot of my time at the moment is kind of getting them to kind of believe in what we're delivering, what we want.
How have you found that reaction, not only from the players, but the existing staff that are here as well?
Really good. The analyst department, we've had a lot of time with the last week and a half. I think they're sick to death of us. But no, they've been really receptive, incredibly receptive, as everyone has. You know, it's been a real enjoyable, hard work, but enjoyable 10 days.
And look at the next game, no bigger than the Merseyside derby. As an Evertonian, as an assistant manager now, what are you looking to from the team heading into that one?
We're just looking for the performance level that we got at Arsenal. You know, and that's, I said, it doesn't guarantee you anything. And you know, I'm so excited to be in a derby as part of the Everton family. You know, right in. I always was, but you know, not a big part of it. So for me, family's going to be an issue, I'm sure. But you know, for me to be working at Anfield as an Everton coach, it's going to be incredible.